Yes, absolutely. Sometimes the most minimal solution
Isn't the most obvious one.
Hello everyone, Sporty and Ange here, coming to you from our mostly minimal, slightly furnished and perfectly imperfect home.
So we recently got this comment from someone who said that she's struggling with this idea of perfect minimalism that you see on social media. And it really resonated with us because just like Mostly Mindful is all about striving to be better rather than striving to be perfect, living a minimalist lifestyle doesn't mean owning absolutely nothing.
If you're struggling to hit your minimalism sweet spot, hit subscribe and join our community where we are mastering the art of just enough together.
And if you've ever felt guilty about not being an Insta-perfect minimalist, give this video a like and let's normalize the rational approach instead.
So we're going to use the recent decision of getting a table as an example of rational minimalism in action. We've been happily furniture free for over 4 years when we suddenly realized something wasn't quite right.
Yeah, this happened when we moved into our latest apartment because we were happily working on the floor and then things just didn't feel great. Like we weren't as productive.
Yeah, the place seemed really cluttered and messy.
Yeah, there was just something that was off about it, and that's when we decided that we are just going to get a table and chairs so that we could actually contain our work area.
Yeah.
Many of you might relate to this idea of feeling torn between your minimalist aspirations and your real life needs.
Yeah, I mean, you might have family that need certain things for comfort or practical reasons.
Yeah, and maybe you've got art supplies or craft supplies that you really want to have, and you don't feel like you can let go of them.
Yeah, and I guess in that same category is sports equipment. You know, there's certain sports that require a lot of stuff. And I mean, if that's your shtick, you need to have them. Hey?
Exactly. And let's not forget about those of you who are living in very distinct 4-season climates where you actually need clothing for those different seasons, something that we can't even relate to really.
No, exactly.
Yeah, so how on earth do you handle that if you're trying to be that Insta-perfect minimalist?
Yeah. And lastly, for those of us that are still working, you have your work stuff, you know, you need all that stuff to generate income.
Yeah, exactly. So it's about finding a balance. So let's look at how we can do that.
Before you make any changes to your minimal space, you need a process to notice what actually needs to change. This isn't about making changes yet. It's about awareness and observation. Think of it as your minimalism meditation practice.
So here's how you can go about mindfully observing your space. The first step is to notice without judgment what is actually going on around you. What's happening in your space? What needs aren't being met?
The second step is considering the impact of the change you're considering. How will it affect your daily life? And what is the cost if you don't make the change?
That's actually a really important consideration. And then finally, step 3 is to find the most minimal solution. What is the simplest way to solve your problem and at the same time still maintain your minimalist lifestyle in a way that works for you?
Okay, so now you've observed your space and you've identified areas that you think need change. And now comes the practical part. How do you figure out whether it's worth making that change or not? We've got 3 questions that you can ask yourself before adding or removing anything.
The first question is, does it serve a real purpose? And here we'll use our table as an example once again. So before, our work life was scattered and unproductive and the area didn't feel great. And then once we got the table, suddenly everything just felt calm and serene in here.
And neat.
And neat.
Yeah. And we work much better now too. Very productive.
And as an added bonus, the kitty's also so happy.
Yeah.
He hangs out with us on the table all the time.
Yeah, he's got a perch up there. Second question. Does your decision make life easier or harder? And for this, we have our favorite example of our Blendobi, our blender. We used to have him in the cupboard, which meant dragging him out, building him every time. And now he has a pride place, and it's so easy to use in, out, no problem. Plus, obviously, the kettle as well, because we use that a lot.
Yeah, the point is we use him every day, mostly twice a day. So it makes perfect sense for him to have his spot on the counter.
Yeah.
The last question to ask is there a simpler solution? So say, for example, you do live in a place where you need 4 seasons worth of clothing. Then instead of dealing with an absolutely stuffed and cluttered closet, you only keep in the closet what you need, and you rotate it throughout the year, and you pack the rest somewhere else, I guess.
Yeah, that's what you have to do.
Yeah.
So that your everyday dealings with your cupboard isn't stressful.
Yeah, I think I'm struggling to get my head around it because we have our 4 t-shirts year round and a jacket. But yes, I mean, I'm sure you can get the point.
And lastly, we've identified 3 common challenges when it comes to trying to introduce minimalism into your life. The first one is partner differences. So maybe, the two of you don't have the same sort of philosophy about minimalism or stuff or whatever. And I think Ange mentioned that we watched a video once where there was a couple where he was quite extreme and she wasn't, and they figured out sort of their zones to keep their minimalism and their stuff things apart. So it worked for both of them.
Yeah, and they ended up just being happy about that. So having areas, I think, is the trick with this, because it's actually a comment that we get a lot. Like, how do you manage it if one of you is minimalist and the other one isn't? And I mean, it comes down to compromise. So you each have your own areas, and you just respect each other's way of living.
Yes. The second challenge that is quite common is navigating family life. One of the examples we thought of was, people with children with toys everywhere can be quite the challenge.
Yeah. And I think sometimes moms get overzealous with getting everything clean, and you want this perfect space, and all you're going to do is drive everyone nuts, mostly yourself. Yeah. So you find a compromise, and instead of saying it's a toy-free zone, each kid gets a nice box, and they have to have their toys in there at the end of the play session or whatever. So no, it's not perfect, but it is at least neater than it was if the toys were strewn everywhere.
Yeah.
And there are no tears.
It will be neat at some point. Look forward to the neatness.
And then also, if you've got family who need chairs and things when they come to visit,
then you just find something that is comfortable for them, and you have it in your space.
Yeah, I mean, you can't insist that your 95-year-old father sit on the floor with you
if he hasn't been doing that.
No, if he's spent his entire life in a lazy boy. So it's about finding compromise.
Exactly. And then lastly, those of you with hobbies and crafts will understand this, but those corners can get out of hand, or those areas. So of course you need your space, because hobbies are a wonderful thing to do. But those need regular reviewing, because they're kind of clutter magnets. Because you think there's already a lot of stuff there, so one little extra thing's not going to matter. So one does need to keep an eye on those.
Yeah, this is probably a 1 in 4 out kind of an area.
Ooh, somebody's going to get upset about that.
Remember, minimalism serves us. We don't serve it. That table that we showed you earlier, it's not a failure. It's a mindful choice that enhanced our minimalist way of living.
It really, really taught us something. Sometimes the most minimal choice isn't the one with the least stuff. It is the one that brings us the most peace.
And remember, at every point along the way, you're not failing at minimalism. You're succeeding at living mindfully.
Drop a comment below and tell us about your rational minimalism choices. What's the one non-minimal thing that you kept that has actually made your life better? We'd love to hear about that.
Until next time, keep it simple
Not too simple.
and age with intention.
Bye! Slightly furnished and almost perfect. What? Think of it as your
Can I say it?
No, I like it.
Okay, say it properly then.
Okay.
For example, if you do have 4 seasons worth of clothing in your closet, navigating family life.
Sometimes the most minimal choice isn't the one with least. Sometimes the most minimal choice isn't the one with.
You're succeeding at living a minimalist lifestyle. No. You're succeeding at living minimally.
Mindfully. You have to do it again, sorry.
Oh no, did you snigger at me?
Yes, sorry.